Initially, I planned to select the Alistair Gray archive for my proposal, but during my research, I came across Agnes Owens, a writer whom he jointly mentored in a writing group in Alexandria, West Dunbartonshire, in the 70s. When I began to research Agnes, I found a lot of similarities with her personal and family life to my own, enough to make me want to know more about her life through her written works. I ended up reading all her books and thoroughly connected to her very honest and working class stories of relationships, family dynamics, poverty, addiction, death, and the political climate and societies of that time. The Gentlemen of the West collection of short stories was published in the mid-80s and was written as fiction but drawn from elements of her own life in and around West Dunbartonshire. Agnes's main character, Mac, is a 22-year-old bricklayer, loosely based on her eldest son. She writes of the day-to-day life of Mac and his experiences of living in poverty in a sparsely furnished flat with his mum. He is in and out of employment and struggles to hold down a job, being deeply invested in the west of Scotland drinking culture and the trouble this brings. Goodbye Everybody sees Mac leaving home to find a better life, but he and his mother are so poor that they must borrow a suitcase from a neighbour for him to use. Throughout this book, a deeply ingrained set of beliefs and habits have formed, and on reading this chapter of his story, I wondered if anyone could just pack a bag and leave their old self behind in search of a clean slate. I imagined this journey of discovery, a reimagining of one's life and future. Could we leave old habits, thoughts, addictions, behaviours behind and start fresh? It is as easy as taking a trip to another place. Would we take all those learned behaviours with us into new territories, subconsciously seeking out the habits or replace people we are trying to escape? Can we leave all that psychological weight behind us, or will we be dragging it along wherever we go? Can we truly escape ourselves without professional help and excavation? When I first put in my proposal, it was focusing more on my affinity to Agnes's personal life, but then evolved into the connection I felt for her main character, Mac. So I started to build an archive from what I learned through these stories, focusing on his profession as a bricklayer on construction sites, as this was what gave him hope and sense of worth. As a brickie, I looked at the materiality of bricks and mortar to build a suitcase. Mortar mixes like concrete, hence the concrete suitcase. I collected old bricklaying tools, a hard hat and high-vis vest, and repurposed my Zimmerman as Mac. Alcohol plays a big part of his life and is often associated as a West of Scotland disease. So I had this concept of what would be in a suitcase or bag or any vessel we associate with holding our essential needs or wants. I have always loved Philida Barlow and Rachel Whiteread as artists who use materials as constructions, building, collecting and pushing boundaries. Rachel's art especially explores the empty space inside dwellings, giving life to voids, making us look again. Also recommended to me was Gaston Bachelard's The Poetics of Space, which looks at exploring our emotions and thoughts to specific spaces, whether it be a loft in our homes, a cupboard, even a suitcase. Found objects were used in this piece, an old suitcase from my loft, I thought looked like an 80s throwback. I made initial trial cast pieces from Portland cement, sharp sand and aggregate from sections of my suitcase, as I knew that when I eventually filled it completely, I would need to cut the case off and I would only have one chance to get it right with this particular suitcase design. Plus it takes a very long time to dry out completely, weeks, even months. These were heavy and I reconsidered lighter materials. Watching YouTube videos as well, I didn't want to use polystyrene. I wanted to use a natural material if possible. The bottles were pulled out of a recycling bin near my house. This piece evolved through testing and assessing the best next move. I knew I wanted to make a cast of a suitcase, but moved from plaster to concrete as this was a better fit for Mac's story. The bottles were initially going to be left in, but just leaving their mark felt right. The suitcase strap I superglued down before filling the suitcase was a bonus mark, as it looks to me like a salt tire. Practically, I used perlite as a lightweight volcanic glass garden product used for soil drainage for 1/3 of the concrete mix to make the case lighter too. I knew it was going to be heavy, but it still weighed around 50 kilograms. This was unfortunate as it had to be carried into the barn's garage, up and down the stairs and in and out the van by 2 strong people, which puts me off making anything this weight again, sadly. I could never have moved this myself. The perlite also helped my bottles float, as I didn't want them sinking into the concrete mix beyond my ability to move them when set. A bonus was that it looked like pebble dashing, a material used in 1960s scheme-built homes like mine was. Overall, I am pleased at the outcome. The casting technicians were invaluable in their advice on materials and mixes. They had never used perlite before or a suitcase, so this was exciting all round. This is a subject I have thoroughly enjoyed and will explore in year 4 going forward.